Okay, so I think I'm live. Took me a second to realize the two different screens. Okay, hello, everybody. Sorry I'm running a little bit late here. Had some technical problems. Computer's been acting up. I think that there's a pretty bad delay right now. So I'm not sure if my voice is coming across very clearly. If you could please, in the chats, just give me like a 1 to 10 rating on how well the overall experience is, if you can hear me, see me, because I haven't even had my screen load yet. So I actually can't even see the chats or anything, but it's coming in now. Anyways, how are you guys doing? I love dropping the chats, where you're joining in from, and I don't know, just how you're doing today. Okay, looks like it's loading up now. I'm excited to see everybody's answers. There must be some integration that allows me to be able to monitor the chats and the feedback directly inside of the same platform as I'm streaming from. I'll have to play with it more. Um, if anybody is a YouTube expert, I'm open to feedback. We actually are, I guess I can start talking about some of the items we have coming up. A lot of it's the being able to get the network to where we're able to not just launch, but immediately start providing data solutions for our long list of partners. And being that there's more than 50, of course, it's a little bit easier because we can separate by ETH versus Kusama versus Kylan. But it is something where, yeah, it's something that the strategy to be able to extend our runway as much as possible, while also being able to deploy a competent product. That's the balancing act that we're working with. Okay, fantastic. I see the chats now. Yes, good day and a 10. All right, fantastic. Well, that's really good because that is not what I'm seeing on my side. So I'm just going to leave the tech to do its own. And yeah, so it's something where what we've been working on is making it so that while yes, we've got that query engine and the fee system, the parachain rewards program, and now we're just finishing up some DevOps pieces to be able to get Kusama actually launched. When we don't necessarily need to say early Q1 is what we're expecting because at this stage it's unlikely to take until the end of December. Though of course, for the sake of conservatism, I would say end of December is what we're guessing is going to be the likely scenario. At the same point, though, having watched at least from a high level what's going on with the Kusama auctions, it's a pretty low barrier to entry at this point. And seeing how we already have code approved by Parity, we already are building out the benchmarking and monitoring that's needed. We'll be able to likely proceed once we finish up again just some DevOps procedures to make sure we have automations prepared to maintain the parachain once we launch. So yeah, all in all, it's something that the next component that's missing that is directly applicable for this upcoming week, and probably one of the most exciting parts of everything we've been doing is the marketing and the messaging behind this concept that I guess is newer to the industry of Generation 2 oracles, as well as Gen 2 Oracle services, to be able to really break down exactly what that means and how that applies, not just to application builders and different networks and DAOs, decentralized autonomous organizations, but also what it means to be able to create a Gen 2 Oracle marketplace. Because it's something where the closest examples would be to look at almost like Amazon, sure, where you're able to buy essentially any kind of product, except more akin to Kickstarter, because it's an environment where there are crowdsourced projects able to work within a operating environment that mitigates risk on both sides. Of course, being able to leverage smart contract technology, we're able to create programmatically verifiable systems that makes it to where there is some type of objective process that is able to uh, proceed with moving some type of, whether it's a system or a piece of data or We're even looking at situations even as such as hiring. A person has specific objective milestones people agree upon. There's a not governing body, but like a group of QC managers, whatever it might be called, and these are just probably community experts or resident experts that can pitch in, and for in exchange for some time, we'll also go and QC some projects. At that point, though, it makes it to where if somebody's work is rejected, there must be a clear reason why. And in the smart contract, it's written that in order to be able to reject, there must be sufficient feedback. And the point, there's systems to work out and to maintain, but it's something where what Kylan does as a data solutions platform is we make it to where whatever type of application is, I'm giving an example of a type of service that would be extraordinarily useful, but right now is difficult. Kylan makes it to where we can tie these things together easily for projects. So that way, then, as we build out these different palettes, it's the name of the modules are kind of like softwares on Polkadot and Kusama. We can make it to where then they would simply be able to access this module, this, let's just call it this helpful little bot that does exactly what they expect it to without having to go through all the engineering and process to build it themselves. And this makes it to where then developers and project leads, product managers can focus on innovation, can focus on how to build a better product, how to serve their customers more. And that's really where the measures of success should come from. In Facebook, I talk about it a lot because that's where my background is. The incentives have become a bit perverse at this point, where it's something that they need to, on one side, shove as many ads down their viewers' throats as possible, while on the other side, charge their advertisers as much as possible while pocketing as much as possible, which means not even investing in freaking customer service. It's insane. They manage to marginalize both sides of their audience. In Web 3.0, we can do things differently. The Brave browser, the folks behind the BAT token, they've done an excellent job and being able to create a consumer rev share model where the person who's using the service is also able to gain a percentage of the benefit from the service that they're the product of. Another example of the things that, yes, they're out there, but it's difficult to replicate what Brave did there. So when we create these templates, Substrate Rust, the way that it's structured, makes it incredibly easy and fun to learn. It'll actually be my first full language, I guess, that I'm learning. I know some basic Python and yeah, I'm diving straight into Rust, and it's simple because it's modularized. It's almost like Lego blocks. They only fit together in certain ways. And the difference is that each block represents an entirely different set of functionality. Maybe it's the Parachain loan rewards program. Maybe it's a palette for smart contracts. Maybe it's a palette for some kind of consensus mechanism. There's a whole bunch of algorithms to choose from. And you can just plug and play them to create your own blockchain systems. And because every single parachain can be optimized for their own setting, this is really the core of the genius behind the Gen 3 blockchains, is because it makes it to where what Polkadot is doing is, as opposed to something like Ethereum, that the gas fees are based upon processing power. And that was by necessity of the design. But the design of Ethereum is meant to be able to hold value, to be able to be transacted, to be able to use for gas fees and governance. Like, there's so many different functions that it's not possible to optimize Ethereum for all different applications. NFT drops are miserable when it comes to the fees. And even in Metaverse, it's hard to do microtransactions yet. And yes, there's layer 2 solutions, but these are unfortunately band-aids for a problem that is already mostly solved here at this point now that things are launched and really kicking off. And now you've got a ridiculously fast programs like Solana and ADA's in the background. Just who knows what Charles is cooking up in the mathematical laboratory back there. The point is, there is a ton of data that is yet to be explored, indexed, analyzed, and structured in a way to be made useful. And so the process of being able to transform data into actual tangible value, there's a sequence of steps. And we call it the 5 stages of monetization. It's based upon a gentleman named Bill Schmarzo. He calls himself the dean of big data. He was, I don't know his background entirely, but an academic and very, very great book about the topic. I couldn't suggest it highly enough. I don't have it with me, unfortunately. I'll let somebody borrow it, or else I'll have to just take a selfie or something with it and drop it on our Twitter. But yeah, no, it's something where there's different ways to monetize data. And where we are right now as an industry, it's basically get out there and build as fast as possible, because we need to be able to support mass adoption. People are coming into the industry faster than we can provide services for. It's a good and bad problem to have, hence the hundreds of dollars of gas fees. But it's something where, with what we're building now, it's meant to be a solution to connect the dots between everything. So that way we can showcase the trends and to be able to create hyper accurate valuation models that are, yeah, crypto assets are a completely new classification of financial vehicles. And so it's something that they don't have very good mathematical models for them. It doesn't the rules are different here. And so by being able to create this data marketplace that can take this publicly available data, that's this information that is already floating around on the web, and if somebody is creative enough to figure out a way to be able to add value as a result of what's out there, what happens if a couple people put their heads together? What happens if 1,000 do? Because that's the power of creating a decentralized economy, is as people see different risks or different challenges, really the way to filter out what is a good solution for a Kylan product is where is a decision being made and what data would help to improve the accuracy of decision making and mitigate the risk of being blatantly wrong. Because the best example I can think of as how to describe Kylan simply and who it can really help is to think about, if you were a realtor, a brand new realtor, know very little about the industry, and let's say that you're dropped into a neighborhood in a random state and you have no idea what exactly the price range of homes are. You don't know anything about the general population statistics. What is the average median wages? What's the population growth decline look like? Imagine you have none of this data and you need to go and make an offer on several houses out there. Well, how accurately are you likely to estimate the value of a property without data versus the person who's lived in that neighborhood for their entire life, decades of years of working as a realtor in that area, and they know everything about the city? That person is probably going to know the difference between a lemon, a bad deal, and a great deal, a diamond in the rough. Data is a differentiator. It's the difference between decisions that are profitable and the decisions that aren't. And when it comes down to the, I guess, more modern business infrastructure, where it used to be a top-down approach of there's a CEO of sorts that has kind of dictatorial control of what happens. And in blockchain, it's not really that way. It's more flipped upside down. There's a community that is of what everything is based upon within the DAO. And that's why the first thing we're racing towards is getting the governance system set up as soon as possible. That way we can start cranking out various solutions with the DDMOs and supporting projects. We're so excited to see what people have in mind to send to the proposal table. I know I've got a few lined up. So it's something where what we're able to do is find ways that, the same way that the realtor who knows the market would be able to, effortlessly navigate. Oh, that's a terrible deal, not even worth it. Oh, so that is fantastic, go for it. The blockchain equivalent of any type of major decisions that could or are being made, preferably are for the sake of market penetration, well, then in that case, it makes it to where, yeah, we, anyways, so I just saw a message from Bull Sanders. Let me go ahead and knock out some quick Q&A. But that's basically, I want to do a quick kind of breakdown of Kylan again. I've seen a lot of questions kind of wondering about what is it exactly that makes us different. People see the Oracle services we provide. It's been difficult to describe that we're not just a data feeding or price feeding Oracle system where it takes information off chain and brings it on chain. Instead, what we do is we're building out the pipelines and the systems that makes it to where decisions can be made. And this is not just point A to point B, but it's assessing the history of the movement of data. It's totally geeky, and that's what we're working on back in the marketing lab, is to figure out the best ways to be able to describe these things in a humanized and accessible way. We're still working on it, though. Over the coming weeks, we intend to get a lot of feedback about the process we're going on. And of course, yes, this does include the website. We're looking at, I'm going to say conservatively, the end of the month. I'm pretty confident we'll be able to get it out sooner. It just depends on a couple of things. I've got the briefs, and it's beautiful. I mean, I love the look that it's going for. We're starting off simple. We're starting off in a place where it gets the message across and sets the stage of where we're starting from. And then we're going to build it page by page. And every single page is going to have a feedback form on it. Please, as a community, we value your feedback, and take 30 seconds to check out the site. Let us know what you like, what you don't like, ideas that you have, suggestions you might have. We are open to it, because we want to be able to build this with the live feedback to show how innovative, how quickly we can move as a community. And anyways, so it's something where it starts off with Pichu, and that's where we are setting everything up to where we can create solutions for these various other, at the moment, Kusama parachains, as well as to take a look at what partners do they have that we can also help out. So it's something where I know there's a few people who follow me online, and they've noticed me dropping the "how can we help" tag to different groups. And the fact is, this is a time where we are accepting proposals. If somebody has an idea of a project they think that would be excellent for us to collaborate with, I can tell you that who would be an optimal partnership, in our opinion, is Moonriver. We believe that what we can do is create a series of pretty cool data systems to help them more rapidly integrate and deploy partners on their side. On top of that, we could help them with the additional analytics to provide a additional security layer to the value of being able to integrate and connect. It's an example, everybody, but it's the kind of stuff that we're looking to be able to build. And yeah, we'd love your feedback. So anyways, without any further ado, I'm going to dive into some of these questions. Are we already working with, excuse me, I'm going to get a sip of water. You guys are going to laugh at me if you see the way that I drink. It's efficient. It's we're all techies here. So are we already working with partners to look for more use cases than just price feeding? Oh, nice. Looks like I kind of killed two birds with one stone there. So yeah, absolutely. It's something that price feeding, it's really the lowest hanging fruit, the simplest to deploy solution that we could provide. And in the very beginning stages, especially last year, the industry was a fifth less, than what it is now. It was significantly smaller. And so now there's a lot better understanding and narrative around what an Oracle service is. So at this stage now, it's more so about seeing what partners would we be able to, I guess the way we're looking at it is add the most value to. And so we're looking for who's going to have the network volume, who's going to have the community, and who is it that ideally is already on Kusama, because that's where we're launching first. And so it's something where, yes, we do have plans with each partners. And what we've been doing in this stage is gathering what are their specifications and what is it that we would need on our side to be able to pull that off. So that way, then we can have a plan for what teams will need to deploy in what sequence, just because, of course, we want to go with what's going to be the most effective first, and then take care of things in sequence beyond that. So like that strategy. Next, will validating data on Kusama work exactly the same as on Polkadot? Yeah, so it's something where we're still deciding what's going to be happening with data validation on Kusama. We're likely going to be doing some type of a fee structure, but as far as the actual breakdown, the algorithm we'll be using for that, we haven't figured it out yet. It is something where, as of the moment, what we're going to be doing is using the collator program on top of the parachains. And that's going to be what is creating that security layer. And of course, Polkadot and Kusama as its sister canary network, the entire literal function of their focus is network security. They are the security, I like to think of it as an outsourced not even security, but an outsourced military force that is there to be able to maintain consensus, not just across individual parachains, but also the collective parachain as a whole. So it's something where what we're really doing on top of Polkadot is creating additional validation layers for the data that's moving through the network, which in this case, the way that we're structuring PeachEU, it's something where we're really more of a data solutions, almost like a platform as a service type environment, where people are able to interact within this marketplace. And that's where various applications are created, tokenized. We're sure that as DDMOs become more popular, it'd be interesting to hear if people compare IDOs and then DDMOs as the next iteration, where it's like, instead of listing on a decentralized exchange, any developer with a software that does something cool, maybe it's a game that they have some kind of in-game purchases for, or perhaps it's a CRM or productivity software. Whatever it is, it's possible to be able to both tokenize and generate various benefits by integrating with the blockchain. Namely, and probably the most popular is authenticity, validation. Being able to prove that whatever you say your software does can do that. So I mean, the best application that I'm at the moment targeting, and absolutely this is going to have to share feedback for, is artificial intelligence and machine learning automations. To be able to determine when the constant split tests that happen within machine learning pipelines, there is a good bit of failure that occurs inside of that. And an algorithm is not perfect. But to be able to quantify how many times is the AI correct versus how many times is it incorrect, it's just a very advanced mathematical program. It's not like Terminator level stuff, not yet at least. Maybe Elon Musk has in his lab or something. But it is something where to be able to quantify and to prove that this AI is 99% safe. I like to think of the example of medical industry, that if there's some type of MRI machine that has a failure protection analysis thing to make sure the machine's working properly, that's a mission critical operation. It cannot fail. So is the AI or the machine learning algorithm 99.99% accurate, or is it an order of magnitude less or more? These are really important big data problems that, yeah, it's not the easiest to slap on a billboard or something, but it is the type of thing that yeah, there's a lot of value in. Anyways, I went off track a little bit there, but will Kylan use the parachain on Kusama to test new code on before releasing on Polkadot? Yes. So that is exactly what PeachEU network is. I guess I haven't given much of a introduction to PeachEU. The same way that Polkadot has its sister network, a canary network as they call it. So it's the place where you can do live testing. And they have Kusama for that. Our sister token is called PeachEU, ticker symbol PeachEU. And we'll be launching this. Right now, we're targeting right around the end of December. It's conservatively what we're thinking based upon current moves. It very well may be a little bit sooner, but I would rather err on the side of caution just to be safe. At the same time, it's something that that is the test. In order to go to Polkadot, it's something where their standards are very strict. They want to make sure and they want to confirm how a network and a community is going to interact and behave on a live network. That's what Kusama is made for. And so then we estimate maybe 2 months, maybe it's faster. There's not really a standard precedence yet behind how exactly they do these things, but like a sense of how long they want to see performance. But it is something where we will need to be sharing various benchmarking and reporting analytics with them and show them just general, not just general network health, but also security. Kusama moves 4 times the speed of Polkadot. Does that also go for block production? And is this an advantage or disadvantage for the Kylan network? Yeah, so, and I will first, before I say anything, I am also just beginning to dive into the deep end of the nitty gritty of Kusama and Polkadot. And it's a very, very deep rabbit hole. I say that because this one I'm pretty sure is the case, though. I'm not going to stretch outside of anything I can't confirm. In this case here, while I believe, yes, the block production time is the same, I believe it's 6 seconds on each. again, I believe. At the same time, it's something where the slowness really comes from the governance side of things. Polkadot requires more time for decisions to be made. It requires a different algorithm of votes to be able to proceed with decisions from the DAO. On Kusama, decisions can be made much more quickly. So when any kind of project, one of the bottlenecks is typically decision making. And so if you need to get consensus amongst a group of people scattered all over the world, and who knows, if someone's off on vacation for the weekend, they may not see a message for a while. So how long do you wait? But then how long does that stifle the project and hold it back potentially? These types of situations are commonplace every day. And this is why the DAO structure is so important, because it's what makes it to where it truly is no centralized leadership. It is community driven and community led. And while, yes, at this stage, we do still have, like Gavin Wood, still a bit of a figurehead for leading and creating Polkadot, at the same time, there's a whole team, a massive team and community around him that are, yeah, their own rights of influential within that system that now is no longer ran by him. It's a process. It took years to get to that point. I don't think it'll take us years, like 3+ years, but it's something we're racing towards full decentralization, because that's where there's the most stability. So anyways, Kusama makes it so that decisions can be made quicker as a community, as a DAO, as one is testing out how to expand out into these decentralized waters. So that way on Polkadot, by the time it's there, it should be stable enough to be able to handle the slower decision making. Yeah. How long do you think it will take before Kylan will be mass adopted and people will use the product just by a push on the phone without realizing they're actually using Kylan Network? I actually think about this every single day. And obviously this is just giga dubious speculation. So forgive me for that. I'm not a financial advisor. This isn't financial advice. I'm just a nerd talking about technology and where I think it's going to go in the future. Take that for what you will. But it is something where when it comes to mass adoption, I consider that the point that, yeah, people don't even think about really what the software solution is, like Slack nowadays. It's mass adoption. People just hop on there. They're well aware of it. I think that in general, the industry is not going to be there for 3 years. Probably whenever the next major wave hits, that's going to attract a lot of eyeballs and a lot of, I wish I got in, I should have got in. The FOMO folks, they're going to get in now. That's the more bearish scenario, which I go typically more on the conservative route for my initial calculations. In reality, I would expect that as an industry, assuming these layer 2 solutions, or maybe ETH 2.0, or maybe Solana is able to scale, or maybe Cardano kicks things off, or maybe it's going to be a parachain. But somebody in the blockchain space needs to figure out the scalability mass adoption situation, because it's not just a Kylan situation. It's actually a industry-wide. Now, when it comes to applications and building that out, that's a different conversation, but one that also deserves I guess at least an awareness where our position is on it. The other side to when is mass adoption occurs within an application layer within the blockchain space. And that's more a matter of scalability. So as of right now, the ramp that we're targeting is an operational scale up somewhere from a factor of 10-ish within the next 6 to 9 months. So ideally, now, of course, that's an optimal situation, but in the case of operational management, it's the opposite for conservatism. I have to imagine faster scale up and lower resourcing, as opposed to, anyways, I say that I look at the worst case scenario first and then build the algorithm from there. In this case, it's something that can actually happen as soon as, I'm shooting for the end of this year. We've been watching our friends over at Chainlink very carefully, and we've learned a lot from them. And with 600+ partners, we understand that is a lot of oracles. That is a ton of various different data solutions to be able to not only service all of that network activity, but to be able to innovate on top of it, to be able to start to build applications to where, yeah, like someone is using the Airbnb or Uber or whatever other tech giant system is available, they're not going to realize it's Kylan, because any dashboard that you see that shows the movement of the price of a coin, any automated feeds. There's some algorithm that's deciding which post to show, which post not to show, and that's incredibly useful for the user experience. Anytime somebody sees an advertisement, that's a lot of data analytics systems, and I'm pretty sure that there's going to be room for improvements and opportunities for innovation there. So the idea is that, yeah, within a year, I believe it's practical. And this will depend upon really how we organize ourselves as a team, as a community, and as whatever leadership rises up organically through the ranks, because it's a synergistic relationship to pull this all off. And that's really going to be the biggest, I guess, the biggest driver of mass adoption, in our opinion. It's also why we're investing so much attention and time on marketing, because we realize if people don't understand, fully grasp and have a not network, but a pipeline of information that's able to break down the idea that the same complexity of one that might imagine a skyscraper requires to build within the world behind the scenes of these, YouTube, the channel, everyone watching that we're interacting together now, or of course, any digital device, the AI assistants that are very popular now, and any SaaS product you can think of, all of that is powered and operated by just hundreds of billions of dollars. And I believe the data economy is well over $1 trillion. I don't have the article offhand, but it's a massive market. Just add up the top tech companies, and there's at least a concept of the size of the market. The point is, it's something that in order to get mass adoption, it's more a matter of how do we build it fast enough, which is why we want to be able to start off setting up strong operational systems where we're going to invest in the marketing and branding, the overall messaging of how we get these ideas across. And then we're going to be investing simultaneously in the operational infrastructure, being able to manage multiple projects simultaneously on a global level. So that way, then, as we hire, part-time and full-time developers, engineers, analysts, it's something where the work is intense. Something where mental health goes first, and so we're not going to force anything upon anybody. But it's project and milestone based. So that means that it's based upon merit. We're not overly concerned with a person's college degree or education. Obviously, we'd like someone to be disciplined and observant and communicative. It's very important to have the right culture where we can really work together. At the same time, if somebody is able to build, if they're able to go through the documentation to follow whatever specifications that there are, and they can innovate, they can think of cool ways to help solve the challenges that Kylan has made to overcome. Yeah, there's a place for them to work. And while the pay may not be fantastic at first, we are a startup, that person gets a piece of ownership of anything they build indefinitely. A contract will be, through a smart contract, a percentage of that will be paid out to the people who build it. So I don't know, imagine the guy who created the Nike logo, and imagine if he got to keep a percentage of the value of that. Of course, that's a simple example and tougher one to quantify, but in this case here, a table or a database or some other type of tokenized solution has a pretty clear and objective performance in the form of query fees. And yeah, the majority of those fees get paid out to the builder, or however they decide to structure the contract. It's very cool stuff. And I'm excited whenever we get to not just pull off this MVP we've created. Because yes, we have the database up, or at least the V0 database. We have the query engine ready, so we can analyze what's inside of it. We have the fee structure set up. So now we need to create a user interface after launch, of course, that makes so that people can, instead of having to look at the back-end UI, can have an attractive, easy, I'm even going for fun to use interface that allows them to navigate not only what data is available and data solutions are available in the marketplace, but also to list and educate themselves about how to list on the marketplace. So yeah, between all these different things, that is what those different pieces go to. Let me go to the next question. I have a data feeding idea, but no skills to build the API myself. Can I get assistance from Kylan Network and that way make sure I'll be eligible for the infinite reward of app usage? Yeah, so it's something where that's a great idea. That's what we're really thinking of in our vision of this bounty system, is that it's something where it's set up to where projects are broken down by the skills required, the milestones to be completed, and there'll likely be some type of skill-based entrance exam. So that way everybody has an equal opportunity. Of course, there'll be some kind of decentralized identity situation, so it can remain anonymous while still maintaining proper compliance and regulatory requirements. At the same time, it's something where, yeah, what we envision is that it's something that teams can submit proposals. So perhaps if you have a idea that you enjoy, that you think could be pretty good, well, we want to make the community environment where, yeah, you can offer it, share it, and maybe it becomes a DDMO of itself that we can help bootstrap the investment in and help to see if there's any other type of resourcing that we can help pull together from the community. And at that point, it's well, people vote with their wallets, as they say. And so it's going to be something where if somebody wants to be a part of a tokenized data feeding app, well, based on the proposal you put together and the quality of the service you provide will dictate likely the success that will happen. Now, of course, we're not quite there yet, but it is something where as you prepare this, really think about how to, I guess, articulate that, because the better proposal you have, the better talent and the better partners that you might be able to find to collaborate with. The amount of KSM needed to secure a parachain is dropping fast. Do you think this will continue of the next couple of auctions? Absolutely. Yeah, sure. I don't think it's going to be spiking up anytime soon. Where that opinion, just my, yeah, I would say confident opinion though, is supply and demand. There are only so many projects that are in a position to launch a parachain on Kusama. And there are quite a few hurdles to overcome that makes it to where it's not really a snap decision to just launch on Kusama next month. It's a considerable amount of effort. Part of what we're going to be building solutions and tools to help people solve with Pichu, our Canary network. At the same time, it's something where we believe that the price is going to stay down, or at least stay in a acceptably low range, making it to where it's just easier all around to be able to launch, do all the testing and everything that we need to be able to do. So that way we can really start cranking out quantifiable value in the form of our two favorite metrics. It's going to be, of course, the query fees per minute, per second, per whatever it might be, but the value per kilobyte. That's the data point I'm excited for, to find out if we have, let's say, small numbers for the sake of visualization, 100 gigabytes of data being stored. What percentage of that data is actively being used and queried by some kind of applications on the platform? Because if we only have like a 2% efficiency rate, well, we probably need to ramp up education on data monetization and data utilization, data operationalization. There's a lot of zations in data world, but the point is how to use data to make money as a company. And so, yeah, the idea there is that we want to help other folks do it quick. Will there be a separate team for Pichu, different from Kylan, that works on the project? No, it is the same team, so some people will specialize likely on one parachain versus the other. At the same time, though, we all work together here, and so it's something that, you know, if a person is more called to a certain project or direction, that's typically where they put their focus. And in this case here, we'll absolutely want to have eyes on each, and then we'll also be building maintenance support systems to be able to help monitor everything there. I gotta take a moment and poke through the chats. I see some of my favorite people in here. And some new faces. Fantastic, fantastic. Well, I appreciate the 20 plus that are here on a Friday afternoon. Amazing. And let's just see. I'm thinking we're wrapping up here, but yeah, blast off any questions, additional questions that you guys have. I realized I didn't talk about market dip, so I guess I can talk about that. I just thought it was a good topic point for the algorithm, really, for the headline. I don't know if it'll be effective, but yeah, if you guys have anything at all on your mind, curious about, or just want to jam about regarding blockchain or the general economy at large, those are the topics I'm typically into. That's a lot of organizations. Yeah, I realized that. I have like two modes, like a creative mode where I'm able to think in a more normal English way, but then I just completely nerd out. And yeah, I forget how to articulate myself well. And at this point, I don't know, I guess it started around 7 a.m. and it's almost 11 here. So that's 5:16. Yeah, so a full day. Normally I'm not quite as articulate at the end of the day as I am in the start. At the same time, though, it's something where I enjoy these lives. It's a great way to finish the week. And this week has been pretty wild. We have got so many things to update and break down the details for that that yeah, we were just not, I haven't been able to be on front of the camera as much as I'd like to, but it's something where as we move forward with this really this marketing machine to be able to help share the excitement of the ability to build a part of the internet essentially and own it for life. Anyway, so I'm gonna take a quick look back over here. And guys, if there is no more questions, then we can call it an early night. All right, fantastic. Well, everybody, thank you so much for being here. And yeah, until next time, y'all. Wait for it. Oh, okay. I think it just took a while to load. I forgot there's a delay here. It's all good. I enjoy hanging out with you guys. So let's see. Do you think ETH 2.0 going live in April will make this an extended bull market? I'm just going to share my opinion. And I really stress opinion because it's something where I'm not a day trader. I'm not some proper macro economist or anything like that. But as a dude that stares at blockchain data all day long, every day for more than 6 months now, I'm fairly new in the industry, but I definitely dove into the deep end. I don't think that ETH 2.0 alone would adjust the market as a whole. I think that there's going to be either a chain reaction of events that will keep the market up or force the market down. And I don't know which direction it'll go. What I do believe is that what ETH 2.0 will certainly do is help increase the adoption rate by which blockchain technologies can be utilized. It'll help put more wallets in more people's hands and help get more education about how blockchain as a technology benefits the world in countless ways. And that mass adoption, while short term, it's not how we're optimized to think, to be frank. We can execute very quickly in short term timeframes, but price predictions, none of that. But long term, we can say with confidence there's probably going to be more money in blockchain 3 years from now than there is now. More money, more transaction volume, more potential value. So I say that because something where ETH 2.0 as an indicator point, maybe it's April, maybe it's May, who knows? Maybe it takes another 2 years. No one has any idea. But luckily, there's multiple options. So hopefully, the people of that ETH 2.0 are able to make it happen because, man, there's definitely some fast horses that are definitely taking the lead, in my opinion. At the same time, though, I'm definitely biased towards Rust because it's a very cool language. Let's see. I was talking to Ben. Saying Kylan has already built some things. Currently still talking, collaborating. Would you please elaborate? Oh yeah. Over at Karura. So we were building their they had a visualization for their swap events on Karura. So every single time someone does a swap, there is a visualization somewhere. I forgot where, but I remember months ago, Sam putting together the demo and walking through and showing off how it works. But yeah, so it's something where it's just a data visualization aspect to it. It would definitely be cool to do some more stuff with them. I'd love to be able to find what kind of neat on-chain metrics we would help provide and deliver. Though it is something we're at the moment. I'm pretty I have a lot more I can learn about exchanges. I've spent most of my time inside of data pipelines, data engineering, and at the moment I'm diving into database design and API design. So that way we can think about how to not just build something that is highly performant and obviously secure on top of Polkadot security. This would be data specific security, but also how do we allow it to scale? How does the Kylan lock drop plan to work? Yeah, so a couple of ways that that's going to happen is we're looking at having it to where it's going to be a simple smart contract, probably tied to a application like a dApp So that way, then a person can connect their Ethereum wallet, which is where Kylan is housed right now, into something that will connect to their Polkadot wallet. So that way, then it can set up where the location goes. We'll announce more details on that in the coming weeks because we're still working out the specifics. At the same point, though, that's the direction that we're leaning towards. And yeah, it's something where at the moment we are still taking it step by step to actually get to launch because we do have approval from Substrate, but we still need to put together the final DevOps processes. And so until that's put together, it's necessary for the maintenance of the parachain once it's launched. So it's something where, yeah, as we get closer to completing that, that's when we'll have, I don't know, kind of like a looping process, you can imagine tasks going, where we're always taking giant leaps forward. Okay, other question. How did you like your first couple of days as CEO? Yeah, you know what? It has been an intense ride. At the same time, I welcome the opportunity. It's something I've been running companies for most of my life. And no, most of them were actually unsuccessful. So they were not all successful brands, though I've done lots of very successful things, managed tens of millions of dollars and helped create probably more than $100 million worth of value of different types of, well, really every product and service under the sun. And I know I'm talking a lot about marketing, but in the blockchain space, arguably, the most powerful resource isn't necessarily just money, it's influence, because it's a loud community. I mean, it is tough to stand out in the blockchain space. And then you can't advertise or market with traditional methods. The compliance rules are different than every platform. So it requires a different type of thinking to be able to inspire somebody who's already working, 60, 70 hours a week at their current tech job, but maybe they want to be a part of an exciting open source process. Yeah, and help build something that will make a difference and make potentially a significant amount of value in the form of utility tokens along the way. So I say that because something where there's definitely a lot to be doing, and I've had a plan for a long time of how would I scale Kylan to $10 billion, and that is the number that I see as the lower range. Where that comes from was analyzing the market of comparable assets, data warehouses, specifically Snowflake, figuring out what did they do from a both user adoption, marketing, and infrastructure standpoint. And it's fortunately, they've been very, very active with the open source community. And so there's a lot of documentation. And they're able to scale to being about $120-ish billion as an equity company right now. So to imagine the blockchain equivalent of that amount of data, more than $500 million of revenue a year that the companies are paying for. So the value that they're producing is probably, well, at least an order of magnitude greater than that. That means that there's an opportunity to generate a pretty penny along the way. And with an upside down management structure, it makes it to where we're able to do things a lot differently. So being in the position of CEO is something that I feel comfortable with, and I'm excited to be able to execute these plans because it's something where we're really setting a new pace of innovation, of transformation. And that's the vision that Gavin Wood had for Polkadot in the first place, is by having parachains that can specialize in their specific application. In our case, it's data services. It opens up the doors to a wide range of optimization opportunities. And I say this because when it comes to my first few days, it's really been like a dream, because it's something where I've been ready to execute, to apply this strategy, to be able to leave no stone unturned, and being able to surround myself with the best people, the best developers, the best technical writers, the best analysts and project managers, and everything that can happen. So that way I can focus on the overall strategy and understanding the community, understanding what are people looking for and how can we add the most value to the most people possible with the least amount of resources. And being able to maintain that balance is something that I've been preparing myself for quite some time. In fact, since before I worked for Kylan, in the early days, actually, I worked for free intentionally because I wanted to learn more about the project and still decide, is this something that I'm not only aping into this token as a coin, but I want to ape all the way in and help drive this thing to success. So I mean, after analyzing the entire blockchain industry, at least the first 800 or so coins, and deciding what do I think makes the most sense, and based upon my interests and passions and skill sets, where could I add the most value? Data, and then specifically Polkadot, and then specifically Kylan was the number one and basically only choice for me. I loved Cardano and Chainlink too. They're just so large that I wouldn't have quite the same vibe that I know in a startup environment is where I'd thrive the most. It's where I guess, call that my comfort zone. In this case here, I can take some skill sets from over there and bring it over here. Going to be tons more money in this space in 3 years, 100 trillion. I'm interested to know. Macroeconomics are weird because big money moves so slow. At the same time, inflation doesn't look like it's slowing down. So yeah, it'll be an interesting battle. We have a lot of work to do. So unfortunately, I don't get to watch I'm not really into sports. I know it's tragic because I'm from Texas, and yeah, I don't watch sports much. But crypto, yeah, that's my sport. I can watch that all day and night. What do you like about Rust? Rust is not only a very, and excuse me, I haven't keep an eye on the time. It's not only a very, I guess, performant language, which is what I like the most about it, that it's extraordinarily fast. It allows a person to be able to essentially do similar low level, like down to almost assembly code type C++ similar level stuff in terms of optimizing the computer to bring out the most output with the least resources required. That's important because that means that while the size of data is only getting bigger exponentially, it's actually a problem right now where technology can barely keep up, and the businesses typically are falling behind in terms of understanding of how these things can, like how valuable the data can be and the decisions that can be made from it. So the point is, I like Rust because what it allows people to do is create these massively performant systems with concurrency. So that way it's much easier to do blockchain operations on top of. And then specifically because, well, Substrate is built on top of Rust. And Substrate is a framework that Gavin Wood and the team at Parity built that is just massive. A person can build a blockchain in an hour using the modular system. And so by integrating the performant power of Rust and the easier learning curve of Rust. I mean, Rust is my first full programming language. I scratched the surface of Python, but then immediately dove into Rust. And I'm loving it. Like I realize I'm a bit of a strange fellow too, but for the type of people who enjoy learning programming languages, I think it's something that has a low barrier to entry when it comes to learning. It has a very objective right or wrong in the sense of, yes, there might be 10 things to do things, but if it's not memory safe, if it's risky to deploy, it won't even let you compile. So it makes it to where then it's not necessarily fast to develop. Like Python is going to be much, much quicker. But people don't think of this, and not going to go on this tangent, but code is a liability in tech. Once a person writes a piece of code, the journey of that code is not over. When they write a piece of code, it then has to be maintained. It has to be monitored. Somebody has to make sure that it continues to work. And when it breaks, if that person is off doing something else, there needs to be a trail of breadcrumbs describing how it works. So in this case here, it's something that Rust makes it to where you can get good code out consistently. It has a very consistent syntax. I can go all day. I won't, but Rust is an exciting language. You're the best, Andy. Thank you. Thank you. Someone is following Michael Saylor. Yeah, I haven't listened to him as much as I want to, but yeah, I'm not ashamed to say it. I mean, he was actually a large part of what got me into crypto in the first place, because I was one of those skeptical closet crypto enthusiasts who were like, yeah, I supported the industry from afar, but I was like, well, forget that crazy volatility. Now I'm fascinated with the algorithms that manage volatility in the space. But the point is that Michael Saylor is just so damn logical. And it was something that was always my dream, to go to MIT and to see it. He's MIT graduated, has been crushing it with his analytics company. This is not a dumb man. Was well ahead of multiple curves and capitalized like them like crazy, and is now going billions deep into Bitcoin. Yeah, I should listen to this man. So, I think it's something where does some interesting ideas. Swisher man. I'm just here to serve, my friend. I've got a series of skills and I've got time. And so it's an honor to be here. Well, everybody, that brings us to the end of the hour. It looks like we've answered all the questions. So it has been an absolute pleasure hanging out with everybody here. And I'm looking forward to the next time. I'm going to be a little bit quiet the next couple of days. We are turning on the content machine. And next week, we've got so many updates that I'll probably do a live basically every single day just to attempt to get it all out there, get more face time to the community. And absolutely, we'd love to encourage as much feedback as possible. Our ambassadors do forward us things that we can take action on or answer. And if you have any additional questions, if you weren't happen to be here on the live, please just drop your question into our Telegram channel and our ambassadors will collect them and drop them into a channel where I'm able to see them. All right, everybody, thank you so much for being here. Till next time, bye for now, y'all. Now's the fun part, I guess.